when he saw the earthquake, felt it. When he saw the darkness, he saw the temple veil rent from the top to the bottom, something that's 70 feet long and 4 inches thick. Could only be from the hand of God. And he was a believer because the leader, the centurion, used his reason. And he said, truly, this was the Son of God. But these Roman soldiers were just going through the motions. And they were disgusted with the people they were having to deal with. Can you imagine that being your job, scourging people and trying to kill them with scourging? They call that the intermediate death. If a Roman soldier could be skilled enough and strong enough to kill somebody with scourging, he wouldn't have to crucify them. And so they tried to kill people with scourging. Jesus survived the scourging and then went to the cross. And so they were probably very put out with this whole thing. We find people today that will put a sticker on their car and it says coexist. You've seen this? It has a Muslim sign. It has the Christian symbol or whatever that might be, the cross, and it spells out the word coexist. And the idea is everybody who is anything, an atheist or just whatever your belief system is, coexist. And the idea is get along. Everybody get along. I'm okay, you're okay, let's get along. That may sound good. I don't know about you, but I have an idea just exist. And Jesus doesn't want you to just exist. Jesus said in John 10:10, the thief, that's the devil, comes to steal, to kill, and to destroy. That's what the devil wants for you. But he says, I have come that you might have life, and that you might have it more abundantly. Jesus wants you not to merely exist along everybody else is just existing. He wants you to have an abundant life, now and forever. He didn't say it's going to be easy, but he did say he wanted you to have a full life. These were people who needed to be informed of the truth. Not everyone was like the chief priests. Not everyone was like brutal soldiers they served alongside. Not everyone was like the barbarians that they constantly had to worry about. And not everyone was like Jesus that they misunderstood. What they needed to know was that Jesus was the way, the truth, and the life. Jesus was dying for those very men, nailing him to the cross. He said from the cross, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. They were unaware of the fact that they were rejecting false religion. I want to make that point abundantly clear. These soldiers, when they rejected the falsehood they saw in the Jews and their practice, in their lives, when these soldiers saw the disciples like Peter cursing their Lord, say, I never knew this man. Seeing the disciples run and flee, they were thinking, well, that can't be true either. But what it was is they were probably put out with all of this, ready to nail Jesus to the cross, get this over with, and reject all of this. And what they were rejecting was false religion, because Jesus had a true religion, pure and undefiled, a law of liberty. He was dying to set men free from their sins. And these very men were unaware of it. They weren't dumb. They were ignorant. Ignorant doesn't mean they were dumb. It means they were unaware. And they were unaware that they had never known the truth. As far as the soldiers were concerned, they probably thought, we've got a pretty decent way to live. We make a soldier's salary. We have a purpose. We have meaning. And this is just a way to make it through this world. But what they were unaware of was that there was a truth. What happened between 1922 and 1991? Well, that was basically my grandfather's lifespan. He was born in 1919, died in his lifespan. The most of it was taken up with the history of the USSR. I'll never forget in geography, we spun that globe and they said, see this big section here? That's the USSR, and stretched all the way across that landmass from Europe all the way to Asia, and the Pacific Ocean was this huge landmass called the the Soviet Union. There are people born today that don't remember the Soviet Union. My first child was born just about the day of its collapse. And she was born at the end of 1991, and that's when it collapsed. And what happened to the USSR? Well, during its span, they had a rebellion against faith, against religion, and they wanted to throw it all out, become secular, atheist, and not have anything to do with belief in Christ or anything else. And what happened? Well, it didn't last long, did it? The USSR was a rebellion against not religion, but worthless, decadent religion. You know, if you look at it from their standpoint, it's no wonder they wound up like they did. Before the Bolshevik Revolution in 1917, before the USSR came into being, the common worker was being exploited by the religions who had power. The Greek Orthodox Church was bejeweled in gold. They had their rules and their laws that made no sense to the people because they were nonsensical. And the people were tired and they knew it wasn't true. So why serve something that's false? And they reasoned this way. Well, if that's false, it must all be false, and therefore we're going to get rid of it. And so that's what they did. As a society, they became atheistic, anti-God, anti-religion. And as the newspaper says this morning in Huntsville Times, that's Huntsville Times, right? The fastest growing group in America are called nones, non-religious, non-affiliated, unchurched, if you could coin a term. And so, how do we face this growing problem? People are ignorant, and we're not saying they're dumb. They're very smart young people out there today. They have degrees to prove it. They've proven themselves. They're very intelligent. But ignorance means unaware. There are people that can put a man on the moon that may be ignorant of the simple gospel plan of salvation. And so when people are ignorant of the truth, it means there are be thousands of false ways that lead nowhere. Doesn't mean that there's no truth. Jesus said in John 8:32, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free." How many truths are there? Well, there's actually just one truth. Jesus said, "Sanctify them by thy word," or by thy truth. Thy word is truth. John 17:17. I want to look at one other character that's at the cross, and that's Simon. Simon of Cyrene. This is North Africa over toward Libya. It's on the other side of Egypt, away from Israel. You read about Simon in Matthew 27, verse 32. Now as they came out, they found a man of Cyrene, Simon by name. Him they compelled to bear his cross. He was forced by circumstances to participate in the crucifixion of Christ. He was compelled to help Jesus bear his cross. Now, it doesn't say Jesus fell on the way to the cross, but you can put two and two together, and there's a strong inference here that he sank under the weight of it, just being weak. He had to have help. Well, whatever the case is, they compelled Simon to help Jesus bear his cross. You see, the guilty had to be nailed to the cross and carry his cross out to the place of crucifixion. And Jesus evidently did not have the strength, or they at least had some mercy by compelling Simon of Cyrene to participate. When you look at Cyrene on the map, North Africa, and you look at Israel, you see a very long way to travel as they traveled back then. You'd have to get a plane ticket today, and those are expensive. But Simon was going there for the feast of Passover. He had a completely different purpose. He wasn't going there to see Jesus crucified. He was a Jew from North Africa going for the feast of Passover. Perhaps this was a pilgrimage he had looked for his whole life. Perhaps he had his life savings wrapped up in this. And as he was going to Jerusalem, he was dreaming of going to the temple and seeing it and offering his sacrifice and participating in these things he had dreamed about. And on the way, he was the one picked out to help bear the cross. And what was so tragic for him was the Jew lived under this law that cursed is everyone who hangs upon a tree. To touch the cross of crucifixion would render him ceremonially unclean. In other words, he couldn't go to the temple to worship because he had touched the cross. That had it cut short. That's hard to deal with sometimes. On our honeymoon, I got a bad tooth, had to go to the dentist. And that was no fun because that just wasn't part of our plan. And when I went to Israel, I was there 13 days. 4 days I was in the hospital. I didn't like that part. That was not planned. Simon went to go worship the Feast of Passover, and now he's compelled to bear the cross. He's there because he's made to do it out of duty. Means bitterness may have been welling up in his heart. He may have felt robbed. Now, would we have borne the cross of Jesus with any less resentment? Some people want religion to be easy. They want the cross to be bejeweled with jewels and to be made out of silver or gold. They want the cross to be something more than what it really was. Died on the cross from complications that arose from crucifixion, but crucifixion was designed to cause men to suffer. It was horrible. And people don't like crosses that are old and rugged. Imagine Jesus with a scourged back, his back bleeding, his skin and flesh cut to ribbons, perhaps bones exposed. And Jesus had to be forced onto that. Well, he willingly went, but he was forced against it as they would. What I'm trying to say is they were trying to make it as painful as possible. When they lifted him and dropped that cross in the hole, it came with a sudden stop, and he was there suspended by the nails and the love, of course, that he had. But the cross was very offensive. People that died on the cross, to the Jew it was a curse to die on the cross, the cursed tree. And to the Romans it was just horrible to die on the cross. It was offensive. Well, there's a word, isn't it? How long has it been since you heard offensive? That offends me. That's one of the buzzwords today. People are offended by everything. That offends me. Don't do that. Don't say that. Don't be that. Don't think that. Don't be that politically. Because it's offensive. I don't want to be offended. Everybody